Dive into a team that's red hot right now. The Milwaukee Bucks, who are on a 16 game winning streak. Is this team the favorite to win it all?
At this point in the season, I think yeah. For most of it, I've been saying that I feel like Boston is probably that team, and that Milwaukee was kind of waiting to give Chris Middleton back and waiting to see if they had what it takes. Even though I think we all believe that they did, they kind of needed to reprove it again because we haven't seen them, with Middleton. But I mean, 16 game winning streak, they're clicking on all cylinders, even when guys are sitting out, which is usually, a good test of a good team and how an organization is running. When Giannis is out, they're still beating teams. Drew Holiday is having arguably his best season at like 33 years old, which is incredible. Brooke Lopez has been phenomenal. I would say that I think they are the favorite right now. What about you?
I definitely say they're the favorite in the Eastern Conference. If you want to make an argument that they're the favorite one at all, I'm not gonna shoot you for it. I definitely feel like this team, if he's not the best player in the NBA, he's right there, number two. They have the best player in the league, in my opinion, in Giannis, who's been playing at that type of level. He is another person who is already in the MVP conversation, but I don't feel like it's getting that push because he already has won it twice. And it's kind of different for Jokic. This team, he won it when they were the sixth seed.
Mhm.
Um, 1 year. And so now that they are the number one seed and he's putting up these numbers is kind of different. It's kind of still like the same mentality a little bit. But I do think they're the team without a doubt the best team in the Eastern Conference. I do think if they played the Celtics again healthy, they will beat the Celtics in a 7 game series. Um, I always had that mindset. I feel like if they were healthy last year, they would have beat the Celtics in the 7 game series. We're having a different conversation about who's winning the championship because I don't know if Golden State is beating Milwaukee. So we're having a different conversation. Thankful for us that we got to play the Celtics. So I do think this team is equipped to make a deep playoff run, perhaps going to the NBA Finals. But I'm not going to merely dismiss the Celtics. I do think, whatever you want to believe it or not, that their coach is on a hot seat. Not as far as losing his job,
Who,
but
Mike
living
Budenholzer
up
or
to
Mike
no,
Budenholzer?
no, Celtics.
Oh, Joe
Um,
Mazzulla. Okay.
I do think he's on a hot seat, not for losing his job, but living up to the expectations
Mm-hmm.
of the previous coach of Udoka. We haven't seen the coach that they have now in a playoff series. We haven't seen him in the playoffs. We've seen him in the regular season. We don't know what we're going to get from him in the postseason. So rotation slim down. The game slows down. How do he make adjustments? In-game adjustment, halftime adjustments. Next game adjustment. How do he coach? I'm not saying it's easy, but it's different coaching the regular season and then turning around and coaching in the playoffs. That's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
So he is going to be on the hot seat, not for losing his job, but can he live up to what Udoka did? I do think we're going to be asking that question. I don't like comparing coaches, but if he falls short, say the Celtics go home in the second round. If the Celtics go home in the second round, don't we think that's a disappointment?
Oh, it is.
I think
Yeah.
that's a disappointment.
Yeah, no doubt
So
about it.
you expect them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals
Yeah, at minimum.
at minimum.
Yep.
So if they don't get to that point, their season is a disappointment. They're to the point where it doesn't matter what they do in a regular season. They've proven that they could be a outstanding regular season team. It's all about what they do in April, May, June, and perhaps July. Like, it's all about what they do in that stretch. Same thing for the Warriors. Same thing with the Bucks. These are teams that are being given the benefit of the doubt because they've proven that they can win at a substantially high level in a regular season. So it's all about what they do when it comes playoff time. So
Yeah, I mean, to get back to the Bucks, like winning 16 games is very difficult to do, even if you have your fully loaded roster.
mhm,
Um, not to mention the fact that other guys have been in and out in addition to Chris Middleton.
mhm,
So, I mean, at this point in the season, to answer your question, I do think they are the favorite to win it all. But like we also talked about earlier, there's probably another handful of teams that are in that conversation as well, highlighted by a team like Boston, who I think if they met fully loaded, I would pick the Bucks to win in 7. But that's not to say that I don't think the Celtics could win that series as well.
mhm. Yeah, I do think healthy, loaded. I will give the edge to the Milwaukee as well. Um, but I don't know. They're not exciting to watch. They're kind of just falling under the radar. A lot of people don't like watching. I like watching Milwaukee, but a lot of people find them boring. A lot of people don't find it fun to watch them. Kind of like Denver. It's kind of like slow, methodical. Um, they're used to the up tempo basketball. The Warriors have spoiled a lot of fans of that. Not every team plays like that. So it's going to be interesting when it's time for the playoff come around. What this team look like with a healthy Chris Middleton. It seemed like Chris Middleton has been gone for 2 years. Like it's like he's been out of the playoffs for like 2 years because like we haven't really seen him. So what is it going to be like condition wise? Playing in the playoffs, playing those heavy minutes, and then turn around and do it in a day. Being able to rest the body and do the things that he used to be able to do back when they previously made that first initial run to the finals. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Milwaukee Bucks not only finish this season, but when it comes to time for playoffs, what do they look like? I have no doubts in Giannis' abilities. I think he's the best player in the world, but he's going to need everyone else to step up. And the underrated move of the year to me personally is Jay Crowder. He's been what they needed. Can shoot the three, can play defense, he can space the floor. Is exactly what the kind of piece that the Bucks need for their roster. So kudos to them to make that move. And yeah, they are the team to be in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, to go off of that Jay Carter point, I really love that the point that they're at where they have multiple options at that fifth guy. Is it going to be a guy like Jay Crowder who can do the dirty work and hit an open three? Is it going to be somebody like Joe Ingles who can put the ball on the floor a little bit and create for you a little bit more if you need that? And then they also have guys like Bobby Portis, Grayson Allen. Like they have a pretty good roster down the line. And we talked about like a team like Phoenix, who it's pretty top heavy, how they have 4, maybe 5 guys that you trust. Teams like Boston and Milwaukee, they have like 8 or 9 guys deep that you feel really comfortable about. So, I mean, that's why I feel like both of those teams they could very well be the favorite to win it all at this point. Like if you told me that the Celtics were your team to beat still, I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
me, after this last, maybe 6 weeks or so, I mean, the Bucks didn't lose one game in the
Yeah.
month of February. So, I mean, you do that with a guy that's playing at an MVP level, not to mention another all-star in Drew Holiday. Like, I mean, this team has been playing great really since like probably the beginning. I'm sorry, the beginning of January.
Mhm.
And we're in the beginning of March now. So I mean, they've been playing really quality basketball for 2 months now. Chris Middleton, like you don't really know what you have, but I do think it's been really important for Holiday to kind of step up and that number 2 role. It does seem like he's comfortable with that. A few weeks ago, he had like 41, I believe it was, against the Celtics. So he does seem like he's more comfortable this year taking the second role instead of kind of being that third guy, which seemed like is what he kind of wanted the last couple of years. And now with him taking on a slightly bigger role, maybe Chris Middleton doesn't have to do as much when he does get back, fully healthy.
Mhm. Since we're already bleeding into the Celtics, kind of like talking about them and as far as with the Bucks, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and talk about the Celtics.
Mhm.
What are you seeing that's different from this team last year than right now? Like, are you seeing any difference? Are you seeing them handle things differently, or what are you seeing? Or do you have to wait for them to be able to, to get back to the finals to see if anything's changed?
No, I think there's a couple of things that have changed positively and negatively. One thing I will say negatively is I don't think the defense is nearly as good as it was last year. I mean, that defense was playing at a historic rate in the regular season, and then we saw it carry over into the postseason as well. You know, some nights they got torched by the Warriors in that finals, but for the most part, that Celtics defense was playing at a high level really the entire second half of the year. And this year, I feel like it's varied a little bit more. They have had some injuries. Guys like Marcus Smart and Robert Williams were out for long stretches. Those are probably your two best defenders. So I mean that's going to be obvious that it's going to hurt a little bit. One thing I will say that I really do like about this team even more than last year is the addition of Malcolm Brogdon. He might be the favorite to win Sixth Man of the Year. He's been really good off the bench and starting for them when Marcus Smart has been out. You also have a guy like Derek White. So I do feel like they're in position where they probably have a couple more guys that once you do get to the conference finals, the finals, you got another guy or two that you can trust compared to last year. But I don't think unless that defense reaches the level of last season, I don't think they're going to get back to the finals.
Why do you think that changed from this year to last year?
The defense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one I would say it kind of seemed like they had to do it last season. Like it seemed like Ime Udoka was kind of like something has to change. Like if we don't fix this, we're going to be a team that's 500, might not even make the playoffs. And so they really turned it up a notch. Though, you know, after like late December, early January, they turned it up and they were one of the best defenses that we've seen in the last few years. So maybe they can kind of flip that switch, but it's so hard when Robert Williams, who I feel like he's been hurt like every season that he's been in the league. When you miss a guy like him for long stretches, Marcus Smart, like it is hard to kind of adjust to that. Jason Tatum is a great defender, but he's not going to bring it every single night, you know, during the regular season. So it does drop off a little bit. I don't know. Like I feel like they still have the capability to be that defense, but we're just not seeing it as consistently as we were last year.
And I think last year they hanged their hat on defense, even if when their offense kind of lacked and they wanted to drop from not being able to score, they were still able to stop individuals, stop defenders. Going back to that NBA Finals, although in some parts, you know, the Warriors torched them, you know, I look back at that first game and the Warriors were up huge. I believe they were up 16, 17 points, and the Celtics just walked them down by playing amazing defense. The Warriors went on a 5-6 minute drought where they couldn't buy a basket. So we are not seeing that from this team. Again, I don't know if it's because the change of the coaching. I know that has a little bit of factor. He doesn't push them, and that was one of the big things that a lot of individuals or talking heads talked about is whether he can push them the way that Udoka pushed them. So that's going to be something to pay close attention to when it comes down to when you have a defensive-minded coach that you're coaching against. The Bucks are a defensive-minded team. Like everyone on that team hustles, and a team like that is going to have the edge every single time, especially when your best player is committed to playing like that. Everyone else seamlessly falls in line. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team can replicate what they did last year. I don't know if they can do it. I think the landscape in the Eastern Conference is way better. I think personally that this is the best chance the Philadelphia 76ers will ever have in winning a title, like, or making it to the NBA Finals. So they got that against them. They got the Bucks against them. They have the East is more. It's more of there's 3 or 4 teams that can make it out of it. The West is a little bit different because the West is very jam-packed. And you got a Clippers that's a 7th seed that has one of the most talented rosters in the league that can make a run and make it to the finals. And they're 7. So the East is more 3 or 4 contending teams. I will go 3. I'll go those 3, 76ers, Boston, Milwaukee. But to me, this is the Sixers' best chance of winning. I don't know if they're ever going to have an opportunity like this, the way that Joel Embiid is playing, the way that James Harden is playing. You know, Joel Embiid is unstoppable right now. So I don't know. They have that working against them. I don't know if they can beat the Sixers in a 7-game series. I'm not sure. Like I'm going to definitely need time to think about that one. But I definitely will have Milwaukee over them.
Yeah, I mean, I know Philly ended up coming up short in that loss to the Celtics the other night, where Tatum hit that game-winning three. But to me, the Sixers did prove that they are in that conversation with the Bucks and the Celtics. I think they're the third best team of the three, but
Mhm.
I think it is possible that they can find a way to get through them and get to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the road back to the finals, just like it is for the Warriors, is difficult for the Celtics. It's going to be difficult for that team to get back to the finals. I'm not saying that they can't because they have the talent and they have the roster to do it, but it's definitely going to be hard. Um, Especially we have a team that's playing like Milwaukee that's playing like that.
Yeah.
And you have a 76ers team that you barely beat, and it took a buzzer beater from the Celtics' best player to get it done.
Mhm.
So when it comes down to things like that, it's you can't beating this team head on. It's going to be hard to do. And I'm not saying that to slight the Celtics because the Sixers got to deal with them, but the Sixers don't have a Joel Embiid, you know. So it's going to be very interesting with the Celtics and with this entire Eastern Conference.
Yeah, so I believe the Bucks, I should say, are going for their 17th win in a row against the 76ers tomorrow night. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard of if anybody is going to be out for that game, but let's say both teams are pretty much fully loaded. How much do you buy into a game like that in the regular season? But let's say the 76ers pick up a road win, beat Milwaukee, and break that streak. That's a pretty big win.
That's a pretty big win for
Yeah,
them if
yeah, I
they're able
mean,
to do that.
it's regular
That's a
season.
confidence booster.
Exactly. That gains your confidence. So when you see them, in
Mhm.
6 weeks or something, you do have the belief that you can beat them.
You could beat them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the 76ers do believe that, but you go into their building and break a 16 game winning streak, and you're definitely going to get a boost from that.
And see, the thing that I love the most about the NBA, more than any other sports, the best team will win. The
Yeah, most
best
years.
team will win. You got 7 games.
Yeah.
The best team is going to win. There's
Yeah.
not going to be a sneaky victory. You coming in with the momentum like the Super Bowl, and you're able to steal one game, and you're able to capture a Super Bowl ring. No, you have to beat a team 4 times. If you beat them 4 times, you're better than them because you could play 1,000 times and you're going to win a great percentage of that. So in the NBA, the best team will win. If the 76ers are a better team, they will beat the Bucks. So the one thing I like is that the NBA, you have a chance to prove it. It's like you have one bad game and you just have to wash it out of the rug because you got to do it again in 48 hours. One thing about the NBA is you can always improve and enhance your resume. Like every game, you can improve and enhance your resume. Every playoff game, you can improve it. So it's going to be interesting to see because am I going to put a lot of stock into you breaking that record? Of course I am. But is that going to give me the confidence to believe that you could beat this team 4 out of 7? I don't know. It's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm still gonna give the edge to the Bucks that's been there and done that before. But that's definitely a confidence booster for them that we just end this streak. Like we can go ahead and beat them. We could beat them in their home or we could beat them anywhere. We could beat this team 4 times. So that's the type of confidence that they're going to need in order to, if they potentially face this team later down the line in the playoffs, which if they plan on get to the finals, they will have to.
Yeah. And every single one of these games for the Celtics and the Bucks are pretty key right now since the Celtics are only half game back of first place. And I
Mhm.
feel like that first place, even more than the home court advantage matters because then you get to avoid playing the 76ers. You're only going to have to go through one of the top three teams instead of two of them.
Instead of two of them. Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to talk about the 76ers while we're on them right now?
Yeah, we might as well stick on them.
That's still on 76ers. What are you seeing from this team? I want to propose kind of the same question that I proposed with the Celtics. What are you seeing from this team this year that you didn't see last year?
To me, I feel like James Harden is a lot better than he was a year ago. Um, I mean, he's not the same player that he was in Houston, and I don't think anybody really expects him to be. But if he's giving you, 27 and 13, you really can't ask for any much more than that. And that's what he's been doing in recent weeks. I feel like we've always known his vision is one of the best in the league, and his connection with Embiid has really grown, I feel like, over the last year. And it has made me trust him a little bit more because I do feel like they're more comfortable playing with each other. Also, a guy like Tyrese Maxey has been playing at a high level. He's been in and out of the lineup this year with injuries, but he is back and it looks like he's good to go now. I think he had like 29 the other night, maybe. The one thing that I am a little bit worried about them, and it's something that you can probably worry about every year with this team. Well, two things really. One is Tobias Harris, his inconsistencies. Some nights he can score 25, 30. Other nights he'll have 3. That's not
He's
something.
really turning into a catch and shoot, a catch and shoot.
Yeah, he's kind of been relegated to that since he's
Yeah.
like the 4th option now. And he is a guy that can score the ball in a lot of different ways. But if he doesn't have a rhythm, then he might just be a guy that goes like 1 for 7 and he's pretty much a no-show. And you can't have that happen in the playoffs. And then another thing with this team that we know is Doc Rivers. He's a great coach, great regular season coach. He's good with certain personalities. He's really bad with other personalities. It seems like it's worked this year with Philly, but once you get to the playoffs, you never really know with a guy like him. It could flip a series. Some of his calls, some of his decisions can flip an entire series. And that's something that we were talking about with Joe Mazzulla with Boston. You don't really have that confidence in him. With Doc Rivers, he's been there, but he's kind of shown you that you can't have that confidence in him.
Can't have confidence in him. I believe he's blown the most game 7s of an NBA coach.
He's blown the most 3-1 leads. Like, I don't even know if another coach has done it multiple times. I think he's done it like 3 times now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be something that I feel like is always hanging over their heads. Even if Embiid and Harden and Maxey and everybody else is playing great, you're going to kind of be worried about it because of Doc Rivers.
Absolutely. And it's unfortunate when a coach lackluster performance in a playoffs really dictates whether you advance or not. Like, the last thing I should be worried about is if my coach is good enough to coach in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We have problems on our own, having to deal with the best players in the world. And now I have to wonder if my coach is going to be able to make the adjustments that he needs to make and tell us to make in order for us to be successful. Like, that's the last thing the 76ers need this year is Doc Rivers holding them back.
Yeah.
And if he's constantly doing that, he needs to go. So it's a tricky situation because he's absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer coach. He's definitely an incredible regular season coach. But again, when it comes down to the playoff, he disappears, kind of like these players. Some of these players disappear. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it hinges on what he's able to do. I think it hinges on, is Joel Embiid available, if he's ready and available. Not so much what James Harden will do. I think this is James Harden, not only his best chance of winning a title, but I think James Harden is going to have pressure on him like he's never had before. Even when he's not the same player, even with the digression of him, if he's not the same player, but he cannot be the reason this team can't get to where they need to get to. It cannot be James Harden's fault. It just can't. It has to be somebody else, Tobias Harris. It needs to be somebody else, but it cannot be James Harden. He cannot be the reason that he cannot hold this team back. That is going to look so bad on him if he's not able and he can't perform to a level where this team, they're depending on him, and he's an X factor or one of the reasons why they cannot win. It can't all just be on Joel Embiid. It can't be. And to some degree, it cannot all just be on Doc Rivers. James Harden, he has to show up. Whatever version of that, we want to get 20 and 12 assists Harden, or 22 and 13 assists Harden. Whatever version that he's been playing this year, he needs to play that version in the playoffs. He does not need to disappear, because if he disappear, we're going to have so many questions. So I don't know. A lot of it, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer too, but a lot of his ranking, because a lot of people have James Harden as a top 5 shooting guard of all time. Like, you definitely could make that argument. But if he is unable to get the job done when it matters the most, he's going to start becoming. He might be very well, if he never wins the ring, the best player without a ring. He might be better than Charles Barkley. He might be better than all of these all-time great players that never won a ring. He might go down as the best player to never win a ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And when you have that much pressure going on you into the playoffs, yeah, I feel like most of the time it weighs down on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that with him in the past. It seems like the moment is just a little too big. And not that he comes up short. It's not like he starts making a lot of mistakes or playing outside of himself or anything like that. Mm-hmm. He just stops being aggressive. And I think that's something that they can't afford this year. Like last year against Miami, there were some games where he didn't even shoot for an entire half.
Yeah.
Or where it was just like he was okay taking the back seat. And I'm not saying he has to be the best player, but he has to remain aggressive. He has to make sure the defense is helping over so it opens up things for Embiid. He can't just be okay with it being out there, dribbling the ball, moving it, just doing things here and there. Like, he can't do that. I don't think they can get past the second round, and especially not the conference finals, if he's not playing at his best.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it can't be the passive James Harden. I'm not saying that he can't be the facilitator on this team, but what I'm also saying is that he cannot lose the aggressiveness that you were mentioning. Mm-hmm. And like he lost last year, he cannot just stop shooting or just stop being aggressive. Like, he cannot do that. And I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because they did choke against the Warriors. He definitely choked when he was in Houston. They missed 35 threes. He choked. It wasn't just him. It wasn't just him, but that whole team choked.
Yeah, you're right about that. Oh, he's definitely choked before.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But this is the best situation. He wanted to be here as well. Just like Kevin Durant wanted to be in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Kyrie probably wanted to be with the Lakers, but he was with Mavericks. And this is where James Harden wanted to be. Yeah. He wanted to be moved to Philly.
Well, he knew this was his best chance. It might be his last chance to get it.
Chaz, where else would he go? Yeah. This is his last best chance. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, this is his last best chance to win a title. No, I've been hearing the rumors are getting louder and louder that he's going back to Houston. I know. I'm like, he better get it done before he go back to Houston.
Right. Yeah, that's supposed to be like a farewell ceremony.
Farewell. Yeah, with all the youngins and all that stuff.
Yeah. He got to get it done. The ring, though.
he got to get it done. Oh, he got to get it done. Yeah. It ain't gonna be no farewell if you don't win no ring. I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you don't gotta even win a ring. If you don't get there, they ain't no type of contention. James Harden needs to make it to an Eastern Conference Finals. He has to make it to an Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
Eastern Conference. I was gonna say even that it feels like coming up short.
It does, but
it would
I can also understand.
Season. Yeah, because
losing to Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah.
I can understand.
Yeah.
But you don't even make it to the Eastern Conference. I'm looking at it. It came up short, but I'm still gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, because you lost to Giannis and you lost to a juggernaut team. You lost to a ready-made championship team already. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but to not make it to the Eastern Conference, that's a disappointment. Not just for Harden, but for Embiid as well.
Yeah, I think it's very realistic, though, don't you? I mean, I feel like most people would say that the conference finals are going to be Bucks Celtics. That's not to slight the 76ers, but they, like I said, they are the third best team of those three.
Mm-hmm. And the third best team is good enough in the regular season.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not. If the 76ers were to play the Boston right now, who would you get? Who would you got?
In a playoff series?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Boston in 6 or 7.
See, right now I'm leaning more towards Philly.
Yeah.
I'm actually leaning towards Philly to win that.
Mm-hmm.
If it was to happen. But obviously it's such a pick'em series. I never don't gamble, guys, but I will never bet on it. I never bet the line anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I never bet what team gonna win. You ain't about to take my money. I bet everything but
What do you bet on then? Like point totals?
I bet on point total over another in points, assists, rebounds.
Got
I
you.
bet on triple doubles. I bet on all the shit that I'm not betting on nobody who winning the game or not. Hell no. Nah. I'm not betting over and under of I remember I bet it. I will never get over this. I would never, you know what I'm about to say. I would never get over that. Like, you know how much money that cost me? Like, that cost me 8 bands,
What's
$8,000.
that?
Eight, I bet it that the Cowboys, and no, it wasn't the Cowboys. It was the Atlanta Hawks versus the Mavericks. And Trae Young, I said that he was going to score over 25 points.
What do you finish with?
That man scored 23 points. I said I'm done. I said I'm done because it's not like you could cash out on anything. You have to get it all right.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing on FanDuel.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's all or nothing. You have to get it all right or you don't. You don't get nothing. Man, I stopped betting after that. The last thing I betted on was the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, I haven't betted since.
That was lost too?
I lost. Yeah, I lost. Yeah, I lost. But I didn't bet on the outcome. Again, I betted on all the other stuff. I betted on, let me tell you what I did.
Don't tell me you
betted on, I'm getting so sidetracked. I betted on the 49ers, who the 49ers face in the opening round of the playoffs.
Seattle.
It wasn't Seattle. Who was the next opponent?
Dallas?
No. Was it Dallas?
I think
I don't know.
Yeah.
George Kittle. George Kittle. All bro had to do was score a touchdown.
That's easy.
All he had to do was he didn't score. He didn't score. You talking about it's easy? He didn't score. 10 racks.
Oh man.
10 racks. Debo scored.
What is this? Like a 10 leg parlay or something?
It was a 10 leg parlay. Their quarterback threw for 225 plus.
All you needed was a Kittle touchdown.
All I needed was a Kittle touchdown. He fucked around and gave me a 2-point conversion. I said, I don't need no 2-point conversion. I don't need no 2-point conversion. It pissed me off. And then they took him out the game because the 49ers was whooping their ass. They took him out the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I was about to pull it up, but I ain't even gonna pull it up. I ain't gonna do that to myself. I'm not gonna do that because I was pissed. Like, I literally texted my sister and like, ain't this about a bitch? Ain't it? But like, literally all he needed to do was score a touchdown. And I betted $10 of free money. It was free money.
For 8,000?
No, it was 10 racks. It was 10 racks. I betted 10. Man, I came up with a buku parlay.
I know you were sick.
I was so sure. I'm saying all the little check marks. You got it. I said, come on, kiddo. Don't disappoint me.
That's the worst.
What he do? Disappoint me. Like this. I know I should have. That's why he's not better than Travis Kelce. Like, see, like, that's because Travis Kelce, he gonna give you 2 tubs.
Yeah.
He gonna give you 2 tubs. Like, that's automatic. It's only a couple things automatic in these 10 leg parlay or these parlays. Travis Kelce gonna score a touchdown.
Yep.
You can book it. That's why that shit like a penny, 2 pennies.
Right.
He gonna score a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes gonna throw for more than 200 yards. You can book it. Even on that one game, he threw for as low. I think it was like 199. Patrick Mahomes gonna throw for a good 225. He gonna have at least 2 touchdowns, at least. Like, one of them he gonna run it. I got it down pat. He gonna at least throw 2 tubs. At least he gonna throw one to Travis Kelce and probably one to another random ass wide receiver. Because he just finds way to throw, like he just finds way to get these receivers open. Like it's amazing. But yeah, yeah, for sure. And Jalen Hurts is going to have a running touchdown.